Did you know that you might be punishing yourself for the same mistake, perhaps thousands of times? Or that most of what you believe could actually be, well, a kind of lie, holding you captive in what one ancient tradition calls a dream of hell? Today, we're diving deep into some truly timeless wisdom, wisdom that suggests we can dramatically transform our lives starting right now. Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to extract the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight, helping you become well informed quickly and thoroughly. Today, we embark on a really profound exploration of Don Miguel Ruiz's acclaimed work, The Four Agreements, a practical guide to personal freedom. It's rooted in ancient Toltec wisdom, and this isn't just about, reading a book. It's more about unlocking a framework, a way to unshackle ourselves from these unseen chains of belief and step into a life of, well, authentic freedom. Think of it as your personal roadmap out of that dream of hell and into a life you truly desire. And joining us as our expert guide for this journey is someone known for his remarkable ability to synthesize diverse information, spot patterns, connect the dots, and offer profound, so what's insights into complex subjects. His expertise lies in making dense topics approachable and, crucially, relevant to our modern lives. It's a real pleasure to have you with us for this deep dive. Now, before we explore the transformative power of the Four Agreements themselves, Don Miguel Ruiz paints a rather compelling, maybe even confronting, picture of our everyday reality. He talks extensively about the dream of the planet and the process of domestication. Could you begin by perhaps unraveling these foundational concepts for us? What exactly does he mean, and how do they fundamentally shape us right from the moment we're born?
Absolutely, and it's definitely the crucial starting point for understanding Ruiz's entire philosophy, really. He suggests that what we normally perceive as reality is, well, in essence, a collective construct. He calls it the dream of the planet. Now, this isn't some abstract sort of ethereal concept. It's the grand societal narrative. It's the result of billions of smaller individual dreams, all merging together to create our shared rules, our beliefs, our laws, our religions. The very fabric of our cultures, the structures of governments, education systems, even social conventions, holidays, you name it, it basically dictates how to be in, well, every conceivable way. You see, we're born with this incredible innate capacity to dream, to create our own reality. But from the moment we arrive, the established human world, the people who came before us, they actively teach us how to dream their dream, society's dream. We're essentially born into a pre-existing consensus, you might say.
So, if I'm understanding this correctly, it's not really a conscious choice we make at all. We're sort of programmed or maybe inducted into this collective dream without even giving our consent.
Precisely. That's exactly it. And this programming is what Ruiz terms domestication. Imagine adults, parents, teachers, religious figures, community leaders constantly hooking our attention. Okay? And attention, in this context, it's our inherent ability to focus our awareness, to perceive something and bring it to the forefront of our minds. Through relentless repetition and through a system of rewards for conforming and punishment for, well, deviating, these rules, these concepts, these social norms get deeply embedded into our minds. We absorb everything this way: how to behave, what's considered good or bad, acceptable or unacceptable, right or wrong. It's a really profound and pervasive form of conditioning. We don't get to choose our first language, do we? Or our initial religion, or even many of our core moral values. They're pre-existing and we're sort of compelled to agree to them. And this unconscious agreement, this deep-seated, often unquestioning belief is what he calls faith. This powerful, internalized belief system then takes control of our entire life's dream.
Even if we try to rebel as children, pushing boundaries, questioning rules, are often not strong enough to win that fight, essentially. We ultimately surrender to these imposed agreements. This process effectively makes us self-domesticated, rather like a pet learns to behave based on its owner's rules, you see. We internalize a look of law, and then, quite chillingly, we punish ourselves when we deviate and reward ourselves when we conform. The key insight here is that we adopt this whole framework without ever consciously choosing it.
That's a really powerful analogy, isn't it? Comparing us to domesticated animals. A bit unsettling, actually. And it leads directly into the next internal dynamic Ruiz describes. Central to this internal landscape are what he calls the judge and the victim.
Hmm.
Could you perhaps shed some light on these internal roles and their constant, often quite debilitating interplay within our minds?
Indeed, yes. The judge and the victim are two intertwined aspects of the same internal mechanism, really. They're a direct consequence of our domestication. The judge is that relentless, internalized voice. It's like an echo of all the external judgments we've absorbed over time. It continually evaluates everything we do, think, and feel, operating strictly according to that book of law. We've internalized our personal belief system. And this judge is absolutely merciless. It's constantly assessing whether we measure up to the multitude of agreements we've made, many without even realizing it. It's the internal prosecutor, always looking for fault.
So it's like our most unforgiving internal critic, holding us to an often impossible standard, almost a kind of self-imposed tyranny.
Exactly. Spot on. And the victim is the part that receives the judge's condemnations. The passive recipient. This is where blame, guilt, and shame really take root. The victim is that part of us that internalizes the judgment. It's the voice that whispers, poor me, I'm not good enough, or I'm not intelligent enough, I'm not attractive enough, I'm not worthy of love. You know, the sort of thing. The judge then naturally reinforces this with, yes, you are not good enough, you failed yet again. This internal dialogue creates this endless, self-perpetuating cycle of self-punishment. What's particularly fascinating, and frankly quite sobering, is Ruiz's observation that humans are the only animals on Earth that pay thousands of times for the same mistake.
Really? Thousands of times?
Yes. Other animals, they learn once from a painful experience and then they move on. But for us, every single time we remember an error, we reactivate the judge, we re-feel the guilt, and we reinflict the punishment on ourselves. And often this spills outwards too. We even make those around us pay for our past mistakes by projecting our blame, sending them our emotional poison, as he calls it. This entire cycle, fueled by a belief system we never consciously chose, is rooted in what Ruiz claims are often, well, nothing more than lies. He actually suggests that something like 95% of our beliefs are essentially fabrications, leading to immense and unnecessary suffering.
95%. Wow. And if that wasn't enough internal chaos to deal with, then there's this mitote. It's a term Ruiz uses to describe the very state of the human mind. What exactly is this mitote, and why is recognizing it so crucial for our personal freedom? It sounds like a real mental fog.
It truly is a fog. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. An obscuring veil. The mitote, and it finds a powerful parallel in the Sanskrit term Maya in India, which is often translated as illusion or delusion. It's perhaps one of the most vivid descriptions of the human mind in its, let's say, current domesticated state. It refers to the constant, chaotic, simultaneous chatter of 1,000 conflicting voices, opinions, beliefs, all vying for attention within our minds. Imagine stepping into a really bustling, overstimulated marketplace. Everyone's talking at once, nobody's truly listening, nobody really understands each other. That's the mitote.
Oh, okay.
This is the sort of incessant contradictory condition of our internal mental landscape. Ruiz describes it as a dense fog or smoke that blinds us from seeing our true selves, which he asserts is inherently pure love, pure light.
So it effectively obscures our authentic nature. It prevents us from clear thought and true self-knowledge.
Precisely. This internal conflict, this constant noise, it stops us from knowing what we truly want, from discerning our genuine desires, and ultimately from truly knowing ourselves. Our perceptions become skewed, you see, distorted by this relentless internal chatter. It leads to a state where we constantly resist life itself. Because our deepest fear, according to Ruiz, isn't actually death. No, it's the risk of being truly alive, of expressing who we really are, unburdened by the weight of external expectations and judgments. We become so accustomed to trying to satisfy others' demands, to living by their points of view, all out of this deep-seated fear of not being accepted, that we lose touch with our authentic selves. The mitote is the very illusion that keeps us from seeing that we are not truly free. Powerful insight here is that just recognizing this mental fog, this internal noise, is the essential first step towards transforming our dream, towards regaining clarity and genuine self-direction.
Right. It's about pulling back that veil. Okay, Professor, it's becoming clear we're living within this complex, often unseen web of internal and external agreements, and many of them, as you say, cause us suffering. Ruiz suggests that by consciously adopting 4 new, powerful agreements, we can fundamentally transform this dream of hell into heaven on earth. Big ol' Beth. Let's begin with what he calls the most important and difficult one. Be impeccable with your word. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, isn't it? Because the concept of the word here seems to extend far beyond just, talking. Could you elaborate on its profound power and significance within this Toltec wisdom?
Absolutely. The first agreement, be impeccable with your word. Yes, it is considered the most vital and the most challenging. And that's precisely because the word in Toltec wisdom is understood as the very power to create. It's described as a direct gift from, well, what some might call God or the universal intelligence. It actually echoes foundational spiritual texts across many traditions that link the spoken word to creation itself. Through our word, whether we speak it aloud or just think it internally, we express our creative power. We manifest everything we dream, everything we feel, truly everything we are. It's not just a sound or a symbol. It's a living force, a form of potent magic, if you like. It is, without a doubt, the most powerful tool we possess as humans. It's the blueprint we lay down for our reality.
So it's literally a creative force. And like any powerful force, I suppose it has two sides, like a sword, implying it can be used for good or, or for ill.
Exactly like a sword with two edges. Yes, that analogy is key. One edge represents the misuse of the word, which, Ruiz asserts, creates a living hell. In this context, sin isn't about some moral judgment imposed by an external deity. It's simply anything that goes against oneself. Self-judgment, self-criticism, blame. The gravest sin, therefore, is self-rejection because it fundamentally negates your own being. The other edge is the impeccability of the word. When wielded correctly, it generates beauty, love, and ultimately heaven on earth. It has my power to liberate you or to ensnare you more deeply than any external prison could. The sheer power is quite astounding. Consider, for example, the historical impact of figures like Hitler. By the sheer force and calculated misuse of his word, he was able to manipulate an entire intelligent nation. He didn't use physical force initially. He activated widespread fear, resentment, division through his rhetoric, leading to global conflict and atrocious violence. His words, rooted in these fear-generated beliefs, became a potent form of, well, black magic, influencing millions to commit and endure unspeakable acts. That's the destructive potential.
That's a really chilling historical example of the word's destructive power, isn't it? How does this devastating power apply to our everyday interactions, the seemingly small exchanges that make up our lives?
Well, Ruiz uses another powerful analogy here. The human mind is like incredibly fertile ground, just ready to receive whatever seeds are planted there. And seeds, these are opinions, ideas, concepts, they're constantly being planted. The word acts as these seeds. The unfortunate truth in our domesticated state is that our minds are often most fertile for seeds of fear. So a single, seemingly casual word or opinion can cast a powerful spell on someone, altering their perception, even their life trajectory. For instance, imagine a friend idly remarking, maybe out of their own anxieties, I see that kind of color in people's faces just before they get serious illnesses like cancer. If the listener internalizes that statement, if they agree with it on some level, it can actually manifest as genuine illness. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. We are constantly casting these spells, often unknowingly, on ourselves and on others. Think of a child maybe singing joyfully, only to be told by a tired, frustrated parent, "Oh, for goodness sake, shut up, you have an ugly voice."
Yeah, that's harsh.
It is. That seemingly innocent remark, born of a moment's frustration, can profoundly alter that child's self-perception and creative expression for life. Ruiz shares an anecdote of a little girl who, after a comment like that, never sang again. She truly believed her voice was ugly. This casual comment became a deeply ingrained agreement within her mind, shaping her behavior and self-worth for years. This is black magic, essentially, because it's using the word to harm, to limit someone's natural expression and potential. It's a wound inflicted by language.
And it seems gossip, then, would be considered perhaps the most insidious and pervasive form of this black magic, affecting not just individuals, but entire groups, teams, organizations.
Absolutely, without a doubt. Gossip is described as black magic at its very worst. It's pure poison. It operates precisely like a computer virus.
Yeah.
Imagine a seemingly harmless piece of misinformation, say, about a new colleague being a bit arrogant or not up to the job. This negative code, this untruth, can be introduced into your mind. Without your conscious awareness, this virus infects your perception.
Yeah.
You then begin to see that person or that situation through the distorted lens of that gossip, not through your own objective experience or direct interaction.
Right.
This virus can then be transmitted effortlessly to others, distorting their views, leading to broken communication, widespread mistrust, and amplifying that internal mitote, that chaotic fog in our minds. It creates widespread chaos and misunderstanding within teams, families, communities. It prevents genuine connection and collaboration.
Gossip is black magic at its very worst because it is pure poison. It functions like a computer virus, infecting our minds and preventing us from clear thought and genuine connection. It's a powerful and dangerous distortion of reality.
And this misuse isn't just external, is it? We constantly use this black magic against ourselves through that negative self-talk. I look fat, I'm stupid, I'll never be good enough. These are self-inflicted spells, agreements we make with ourselves that cause immense suffering. Impeccability, then, is the exact opposite. It means without sin, which simply means the correct and pure use of our energy in the direction of truth and love for ourselves. It's about taking responsibility for our words without judgment or blame. When you are impeccable with your word, you gain this immediate immunity to negative spells from others. Your mind becomes fertile only for words that come from love and truth. This impeccability of your word, this integrity, is directly proportional to your level of self-love, and that leads to profound feelings of inner peace and authentic happiness. The actionable application here for every listener really is to consciously make the agreement with yourself, starting right now. I am impeccable with my word. Use your words to express love for yourself and others. And by doing that, you systematically break those old suffering agreements and start building a new reality.
That's a truly profound reframing, isn't it, of the immense power we wield every day with our words, both spoken and thought. It makes me think, though, if our own words can create our reality, how do we protect ourselves from the words of others and from that harsh self-talk that often replays in our minds? That seems to be where the second agreement truly offers an incredible escape hatch, a path to immense freedom.
It absolutely does, yes. The second agreement, don't take anything personally, builds directly on the first and provides that vital shield.
Right. Because in a world where personal opinions, constructive criticism, even outright negativity seem to bombard us constantly, especially maybe in professional environments, this agreement feels particularly vital and perhaps quite challenging to actually live by. What's the core principle here? How can we begin to internalize it?
Well, the core principle is remarkably simple, yet profoundly transformative when you really get it. It's this: nothing other people do is because of you, is because of themselves. Everyone, and I mean everyone, lives in their own dream, their own intricate mental landscape, their own reality shaped by their unique domestication, their personal agreements. So what they say, what they do, or what they opine, even if it's directed squarely at you, even if it feels deeply personal, it's merely a projection of their internal world, their beliefs, their fears, their history. It has absolutely nothing to do with you or your inherent worth.
So when a colleague delivers a sharp critique, perhaps, or someone online makes a harsh comment, or even if our own inner critic says we aren't good enough, it's not actually about us, it's about their internal state or our internal programming.
Precisely, yes. Ruiz highlights that taking things personally is the maximum expression of selfishness, because we make the rather arrogant assumption that everything revolves around me.
Ah, interesting take.
Yeah. We fall into the trap of ingesting their emotional poison, their anger, their jealousy, their envy, their frustrations, and we make it our own. If someone says to you, gosh, you look tired today, and you take it personally, maybe feeling attacked or inadequate, well, you've just consumed their emotional garbage. This is why not taking anything personally offers such an immediate, profound benefit. It grants you immunity in the middle of hell, as he puts it. If you don't take the poison, if you don't ingest it, it simply affects the sender, not you. It sort of bounces off, leaving you unharmed.
And this immunity must extend to our own inner voices, too, because we often take our own self-criticism very personally, don't we?
It absolutely must. Yes, this is where it becomes a truly powerful practice. Even the constant self-criticism from that internal judge in your own mind shouldn't be taken personally. Those critical thoughts are just part of the mitote, that chaotic internal chatter. Those internal voices are merely expressions of your own ingrained agreements and beliefs, not some objective truth about who you are. This immunity, both external and internal, leads directly to the disappearance of anger, jealousy, envy, even sadness in many cases. You're freed from that desperate need to defend your beliefs or to engage in conflicts because you fundamentally understand it's not about you, it's about the other person's internal world or your own learned patterns. Ruiz also offers a fascinating, perhaps counterintuitive idea that humans are actually addicted to suffering, and we unwittingly help each other maintain these addictions. So if someone doesn't treat you with love and respect, their departure from your life can actually be a gift, because it frees you from that destructive dynamic. Ultimately, this agreement profoundly shifts your focus. You move from relying on others' opinions or actions for your sense of worth to deeply trusting yourself to make responsible choices. You are never responsible for the actions of others. You are only responsible for you. By truly adopting this principle, you can, as Ruiz puts it, travel around the world with your heart completely open and no one can hurt you. You gain the freedom to express love, to ask for your needs, and to say yes or no without that fear of judgment or rejection. This is true emotional liberation, crucial for professional clarity and personal well-being too.
Cool. When you truly internalize don't take anything personally, you gain an incredible immunity. What others say or do reflects their own internal world, not your reality, freeing you from needless suffering and emotional entanglements. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've explored the immense power of our words and the profound liberation that comes from not taking anything personally. Our next agreement addresses a widespread habit, one that causes an extraordinary amount of misunderstanding, miscommunication, and, well, emotional turmoil in our relationships, both personal and professional.
Indeed. Don't make assumptions. This one is absolutely key to untangling so much of the unnecessary drama, inefficiency, and conflict we unwittingly create in our lives, and yes, in our organizations too.
Professor, the sheer amount of unnecessary friction and drama in our lives really often stems from this particular habit, doesn't it? What's at the heart of our pervasive tendency to make assumptions? Why do we cling to them so fiercely, even when they cause problems?
You've hit the nail on the head there. We have an almost, you could say, pathological tendency to make assumptions about everything, about what others are thinking, feeling, or intending, about situations, about ourselves. And the critical, deeply flawed part of this habit is that we believe they are the truth. We could literally swear our assumptions are real, factual.
Right.
This immediately sets us up for profound problems. We make an assumption about what someone else is doing or thinking, then we automatically take it personally. We blame them, and then we react by sending emotional poison with our words. It becomes this destructive chain reaction. Assumption leads to misunderstanding, which leads to taking it personally, which then leads to conflict and ultimately creating a whole big drama for nothing. Ruiz clearly states that all the sadness and drama in our lives, and even the pervasive war of control between humans, is fundamentally rooted in making assumptions and then taking things personally. And perhaps most destructively, we often prefer to gossip about our assumptions rather than seeking clarification, which just perpetuates the cycle of emotional poison and distrust, doesn't it?
Definitely. But why do we do it? Is it simply a lack of courage to just ask? Or are there deeper psychological drivers at play that lead us to fill these gaps with these imagined narratives?
It's definitely a complex interplay of factors, I think. One significant driver is indeed a fundamental lack of courage to simply ask questions directly. We're often afraid of what we might hear, perhaps fearing a difficult truth, or maybe just afraid of appearing ignorant or vulnerable. Secondly, and this is very powerful, we have a deep-seated human need to justify everything, to explain and understand everything in order to feel safe. Our minds, they really abhor a vacuum. If there's a gap in our knowledge, our minds will rush to fill it with an assumption, no matter how flimsy, just to achieve a sense of security. Even if that security is based on a completely false premise, it's a sort of subconscious coping mechanism. And then, of course, the big mitote, that pervasive internal mental fog we discussed, plays a massive role. It causes us to misinterpret and misunderstand things. It leads us to see only what we want to see and hear what we want to hear. We literally dream things up in our imaginations, constructing elaborate fantasies based on fleeting observations, distorted perceptions, or just limited information.
Could you give us a vivid example of how these subconscious assumptions and fantasies might play out destructively in daily life, perhaps in relationships?
Certainly.
Yeah.
Imagine you're walking through a busy office. You see someone you find interesting, maybe a new colleague. They turn, smile briefly at you, and then walk away. From that single, brief, ambiguous interaction, your mind, driven by that need to fill information gaps, can instantly create a whole fantasy.
Right.
You might assume they're attracted to you, that the smile was an invitation. And in your internal dream, a whole professional or even personal narrative starts to form. Perhaps you're already collaborating on a big project, or even going for coffee. But it's entirely a product of your mind, a story you've invented. Or consider romantic relationships, where this habit is absolutely rampant. We often make the incredibly harmful assumption that our partners should know what we think and want, without us having to actually say it.
The mind-reading expectation.
Exactly. We expect them to be mind readers. Then, when they inevitably don't meet these unstated, often unconscious expectations, we feel deeply hurt and exclaim, "You should have known. You should have done X or Y." This leads to immense frustration, resentment, and a breakdown in genuine connection. Another critical and destructive assumption in relationships is, my love will change this person.
Oh, yes, that old chestnut.
Ruiz asserts this is fundamentally untrue and just a recipe for suffering. Real love, he says, is accepting other people the way they are without trying to change them. If you're constantly trying to change someone, you don't truly love or even like them as they are. You love some idealized version of them you've created in your head. This pervasive habit of assuming, especially about others' thoughts and feelings, is a primary cause of fights, difficulties, misunderstandings, even with those we supposedly love and respect. It's a huge barrier to clear communication and collaboration.
So the antidote is simple, yet it sounds like it demands immense courage. Just ask questions and keep asking until clarity is achieved.
Precisely. The solution is straightforward, yet profoundly challenging because of our deeply ingrained habits. The way to keep yourself from making assumptions is to ask questions. It's about consciously making communication as clear as you can be. And this requires the courage to ask those probing questions until clarity is truly achieved, and the courage to find your authentic voice to state what you want, what you need, whether it's a firm yes or a clear no, without ambiguity or expectation. The benefits are immense. It leads to clear, unpoisoned communication. It transforms all your relationships, personal and professional. Ruiz even suggests that if all humans communicated this way, with impeccable words and no assumptions, there would be no wars, no violence, no misunderstandings. All human problems, he posits, could be resolved through good, clear, honest communication. It's about building trust and truth, isn't it? Not in the imagined narratives or the murky waters of the method. It liberates so much mental energy that's otherwise just wasted on drama.
That's a truly powerful insight into simplifying and enriching our interactions, clearing out all that mental clutter that comes from false narratives. And the final agreement, Professor, seems to be the linchpin, doesn't it? The thing that not only makes all the others possible, but helps them become deeply ingrained, almost second nature.
It absolutely is, yes. The fourth agreement, always do your best, is the ultimate practical application. It's the engine that allows the first three agreements to transition from just intellectual concepts into true, transformative habits.
Now, this isn't about perfection, is it? Because that just sounds like another impossible standard for that inner judge to hold us to. It sounds much more about consistency and, crucially, self-compassion, given that your best can change constantly from moment to moment.
You've understood it perfectly, yes. This agreement is explicitly not about perfection. That would indeed be another trap for the judge. Ruiz clarifies that your best is never going to be the same from one moment to the next. It's a dynamic concept, fluid, responsive to your current reality. Your best fluctuates wildly based on your physical health, your energy levels, your emotional state, the time of day, even the weather. Your best when you're refreshed and invigorated in the morning will be vastly different from your best when you're tired at night or when you're feeling unwell versus perfectly healthy. The crucial insight is to do no more and no less than your authentic best in that specific moment.
And what happens if we try to do more than our best? Or less than our best? It sounds like there are significant consequences either way.
Indeed, there are. If you try too hard, if you consistently overdo it, you expend more energy than is necessary, you deplete yourself, you risk burnout, and paradoxically, your best won't actually be enough because you've gone against your own natural limits. You go against yourself, which leads to inefficiency and, well, self-sabotage, really. Conversely, and equally damaging, if you consistently do less than your best, you subject yourself to immense frustrations, self-judgment, guilt, and regrets. You feel that persistent sense of unease, of not having lived up to your own potential. The profound liberating benefit of always doing your best, however, is this. There is no way you can judge yourself. If you've given your absolute honest best in any circumstance, you effectively disarm the inner judge. The ultimate defense against self-condemnation, against that incessant internal critic, is simply to state to yourself honestly, I did my best. Then there are no regrets, no lingering blame, no what-ifs. This breaks that powerful spell of self-punishment that we so often live under. It fosters radical self-acceptance.
That brings to mind a powerful anecdote that Ruiz shares about a Buddhist master, highlighting this very point about the perils of overdoing it and seeking an external reward for our efforts.
Yes, it's a wonderful and poignant illustration of this principle, isn't it? There was a man who earnestly sought to transcend suffering and achieve enlightenment, so he sought out a renowned Buddhist master. He asked, "Master, if I meditate 4 hours a day, how long will it take me to transcend?" The master calmly replied, "Perhaps 10 years. The man, thinking he could accelerate the process through sheer effort, then asked, "Well, what if I meditated 8 hours a day, doubling my effort?" And the master surprisingly said, "Perhaps 20 years. When the man, utterly confused, questioned why more effort would take longer, the master explained, "You are not here to sacrifice your joy or your life. You are here to live, to be happy, and to love. If you can do your best in 2 hours of meditation, but you choose to spend 8 hours instead, you will only grow tired, you will miss the true point of the practice, and you won't genuinely enjoy your life." The lesson is crystal clear, isn't it? Do your best and trust that living fully, loving freely, and simply being happy is the true path. Doing your best means living intensely, being productive for its own sake, and being good to yourself, not working for external rewards or engaging in self-flagellation.
So it sounds like it's about Finding joy and presence in the action itself, rather than solely focusing on some distant outcome or reward.
Exactly. And this is a profound shift in mindset, particularly relevant in professional environments, I think. Most people work solely for the payday or the external rewards, the promotion, the bonus, the recognition, and as a result, they often resist the work itself. This leads to dissatisfaction, a sense of drudgery, and ultimately often underperformance. But when you take action just for the sake of doing it, without expecting a reward, when you engage fully and joyfully in the process, you find yourself enjoying every action, every task, every interaction much more. And often, the read notes, the rewards that come, unlooked for, far exceed your imagination. This consistent, joyful effort is precisely how you learn to accept yourself. It requires constant awareness and a willingness to learn from your mistakes through compassionate repetition. As Ruiz powerfully emphasizes, practice makes the master. Action, in this context, is synonymous with being alive, with fully engaging with the unfolding of life. Inaction, on the other hand, like, say, spending years watching television, afraid to express yourself, afraid to pursue your dreams, well, that's denying life. Like Forrest Gump, perhaps, who didn't have great intellectual ideas but always took action, and as a result, experienced a rich and full life ideas only truly manifest and flourish through consistent, committed action.
So doing our best can even transform our daily routines. Mundane tasks can become something sacred, something imbued with deeper meaning.
It absolutely can, yes. Ruiz describes how doing his best has transformed every aspect of his life into a kind of ritual.
Yeah.
Even simple acts like taking a shower become a puja, which is an act of devotional worship in some traditions, an act of honoring his body, a profound communion with life itself. He posits that the best way to say, "I love you, God," is to live your life doing your best. And the most powerful way to express, "Thank you, God," is by letting go of the past and living fully in the present moment. The moment you consciously let go of past regrets or future anxieties, you allow yourself to be fully alive, fully present. You are born with the inherent right to be happy, to love, to enjoy. Your very existence, your very breath, proves the existence of life, of divinity, of something greater than yourself. Honor that by always doing your best.
And how do these four agreements interlock, Professor? Can one exist effectively without the others, or are they truly interdependent, forming a cohesive pathway to freedom?
Oh, they are absolutely interdependent. It's a powerful synergy. The first three agreements being impeccable with your word, not taking anything personally, and not making assumptions. They will only truly work if you consistently do your best. You cannot expect immediate perfection. Your old habits, ingrained through years and years of domestication, are deeply rooted. You will inevitably fall. You will break an agreement. Maybe you'll make an assumption today or take something personally tomorrow. It happens. But the crucial insight for the warrior on the path, as Ruiz describes the practitioner, is not to judge yourself for these slips. The Toltec path is that of the great warrior who defends these agreements with their very life, their very being. If you fall, you simply, compassionately, and without self-pity, stand up and make the agreement again. You declare internally, "I am strong enough, I can do it." Ult. This constant, conscious practice, doing your best moment by moment, weakens the old fear-based habits. It makes them less frequent until these new agreements become a seamless, integrated part of your being. Second nature eventually. It truly is a consistent, compassionate path to profound liberation.
With these four agreements in hand, it really does sound like a pathway to profound liberation. Professor, how does this journey culminate in what Ruiz calls the new dream, or rather beautifully, heaven on earth?
It culminates in a state of authentic freedom and joy, yes. Let's delve into that ultimate impact.
Okay. Ruiz vividly describes the judge, the victim, and our entire internalized belief system as a parasite that invades and controls the human mind. It's a striking metaphor, isn't it? Almost visceral. How does this parasite function, and specifically, how do the four agreements help us fight for our independence from its grip?
The parasite is a truly powerful metaphor for that internalized belief system. The critical judge, the suffering victim, all those fear-based agreements we've unknowingly made. It's not a literal biological parasite, of course, but it acts like one. A living entity of psychic or emotional energy that invades and controls the human mind. It survives on and thrives from negative emotions. Fear, anger, hate, sadness, jealousy, guilt. That's its food. It essentially dreams through your mind and lives its life through your body, perpetually seeking drama and suffering as its primary food source. It's constantly looking for reasons to activate conflict, internal or external. The four agreements offer a direct and powerful battle plan for our independence against this insidious parasite. There are three primary ways to combat it, all directly supported by practicing these agreements. First, you can face your fears directly, one by one, slowly reclaiming your personal power and choice. This is often challenging, but deeply liberating. Second, and crucially, you can starve the parasite by gaining control of your emotional reactions and consciously refraining from fueling those fear-based emotions. Agreements like don't take anything personally and always do your best directly cut off its food supply. If you don't engage with the emotional poison, it has nowhere to go, nowhere to feed.
Starve it out.
Exactly. And third, Ruiz mentions the initiation of the dead, which is a symbolic death of the old dream and the parasite's control. A faster but perhaps more challenging path of radical self-liberation. Ultimately, the agreements function by denying the parasite its sustenance and breaking its control, allowing you to reclaim your own mind, your own body, and your own life. You become the master of your internal landscape, not its slave. For someone actively on this Toltec path to freedom, Ruiz identifies 3 masteries that guide the journey. Could you briefly outline what these are? They seem to summarize the transformation beautifully.
Yes, the Toltec path to freedom is indeed framed by 3 interconnected masteries, each building upon the last. The first is the mastery of awareness. This means becoming truly aware of who we really are, our vast innate possibilities, and crucially, recognizing that fog, the mitot, in our minds that obscures this fundamental truth. It's about seeing the illusion for what it is.
Okay, awareness first. Second is the mastery of transformation. This is the active ability to change our fear-based agreements and consciously reprogram our minds. The 4 agreements are the vital, practical tools in achieving this mastery. It gives a roadmap for that internal rewiring.
Got it.
And the third, the profound culmination of the journey, is the mastery of intent. Now, intent from the Toltec perspective is life itself. It is unconditional love. It is what some call God or the universal creative force. So this is ultimately the mastery of love, aligning our individual will and actions with this boundless, benevolent, creative force of the universe, moving from a fear-driven existence to a love-driven one.
The ultimate outcome, the promised land, if you will, is the new dream, which Ruiz describes as nothing less than heaven on earth.
Mm.
Could you paint a picture for us? What does this actually look like in our daily practical lives? How does it manifest for someone living these agreements?
Well, it's a vision of profound liberation, unadulterated joy, and authentic presence. Imagine living your life without any fear of expressing your deepest dreams, truly knowing what you want and don't want, and then acting on it without hesitation or self-doubt. It's a life where you are completely free from judgment from others, and perhaps most importantly, from yourself. You no longer regulate your behavior based on what others might think or say. Their opinions no longer control you, nor do you feel that compulsive need to control them.
That sounds freeing.
It is. It means easily forgiving others, letting go of long-held judgments, releasing that need to always be right in every interaction. You respect yourself implicitly and everyone else fundamentally, fostering mutual respect in all relationships. Crucially, it means living without the crippling fear of loving and not being loved in return. You're no longer afraid of rejection, nor do you have a desperate, clinging need for acceptance from others. You can walk through the world with your heart completely open, saying, I love you, without shame or justification, because your love flows freely and unconditionally. It's a state of profound bliss where the mitot has gone on a permanent vacation. That incessant chaotic internal chatter is silenced, or at least greatly diminished. It is a conscious, chosen state of happiness, a deliberate transformation from the suffering and illusion of the old dream into continuous experience of heaven on earth. It's a profound realization that suffering is a choice, and so too is happiness. You truly become the artist of your own life.
For our listener who's eager to embark on this journey, perhaps feeling a bit overwhelmed by the scope of this transformation, what's one immediate, tangible, quick win or mindset shift they can adopt from this powerful philosophy, something they can commit to just for today, maybe, to begin?
The most immediate and profoundly powerful quick win, I think, is to make a simple daily commitment, a conscious choice. Just for today, I will keep the 4 agreements. The emphasis there is entirely on just for today, focusing solely on the present moment, one day at a time.
Again, it keeps it manageable.
Exactly. This approach removes that overwhelming pressure of aiming for immediate, perfect transformation and makes the entire path feel much more approachable. Ruiz is very clear. You will fall. You will inevitably break an agreement. Maybe you'll make an assumption or take something personally or use your word carelessly. It's bound to happen. But the key is not to judge yourself for these inevitable slips. As a warrior on this path, you simply stand up and make the agreement again. Without self-pity, without self-blame, you just choose to restart right there in that moment. This consistent, compassionate repetition is how you build new habits. It's how you incrementally increase your personal power, and how, as the old adage goes, practice makes the master. Oh, commit to it even for just today, and you begin the profound transformation.
So what does this all mean for us? For you, our listener, embarking on this path to personal freedom, here are our key takeaways from this incredibly insightful deep dive into Don Miguel Ruiz's The Four Agreements. 1. Master your word. Recognize the immense, almost magical power of your words, both internally in your thoughts and externally in your communication. Choose to use them impeccably for truth and love, rather than spreading emotional poison or succumbing to self-doubt. Your words are the blueprints of your reality. Choose creation over destruction. 2. Cultivate immunity. Understand deeply that what others say or do is fundamentally a reflection of their own internal world, their own dream, their own struggles. By consciously choosing not to take anything personally, you build an impenetrable emotional shield, protecting your inner peace and avoiding needless suffering that isn't truly yours to bear. 3. Seek clarity, not assumptions. Break that pervasive and destructive habit of making assumptions. Cultivate the courage to ask probing questions until communication is crystal clear, leaving no room for misinterpretation. This seemingly simple shift transforms all your relationships, prevents countless misunderstandings, and clears the fog of the mitote in your mind. 4. Commit to your best, always. Embrace the powerful practice of doing your best in every single moment, understanding that your best is dynamic, it's fluid, it changes based on your circumstances and energy levels. This unwavering commitment liberates you from self-judgment, guilt, and regret, fostering profound self-acceptance and deep joy in the process, not just the outcome. 5. Choose your new dream. Realize fundamentally that suffering is a choice, and so too is happiness. You possess the inherent power and agency to transform your personal dream of hell into a heaven on earth by consciously applying these agreements day by day, moment by moment. It's a continuous journey from unconscious suffering to conscious bliss and authentic living. What a truly illuminating deep dive into wisdom that is thousands of years old, yet so profoundly relevant and applicable to our modern lives, our careers, our relationships. If this deep dive has resonated with you, please do consider rating and sharing it with someone who might also benefit from these powerful insights into personal freedom. You can find all the details about Don Miguel Ruiz's profound work and how to explore these agreements further in our show notes. Thank you so much for joining us on the deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep growing into your most authentic self.